All right, I'm excited, Aaron. Thank you for being here. So, to set the stage for everybody listening, we met back in probably what was that, like last October at an event in Austin that I was speaking at on the first 100 days. And you quickly emerged as like a crowd favorite of mine, asking amazing questions and actually going and doing the work and following up on that. So, tell everybody listening just a little bit about you and your business, who you serve, and how you do it.
Yeah, Libby, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, first and foremost. So I started at Prudential 16 years ago, right out of college. So 37 years old now. When I started at Prudential, I always say I kind of had three careers. I started on the insurance and annuity side, and after about 4 years, I transitioned to trying to do more wealth management. And then around 2016, I decided to evolve my practice really to comprehensive fee-based financial planning, where I focus on the financial planning, wealth management, and insurance planning. And so I've been doing that mostly for the past 10 years. And my practice has really grown over, especially the past 5 or 6 years. I think I've seen about a 450% increase in just the past 4 or 5 years. And so where I am today is I'm kind of at the point in my practice where I'm moving from being a practice to more of an enterprise. For many years, it was just me and my admin. We call it a client relationship specialist. Last year, I brought on an associate advisor. I also successfully convinced a wirehouse advisor to move over as their succession plan. He's staying on for a number of years still, but so rapidly, all of a sudden, we grew to a four-team group, and we're now in the process of actually looking to hire another couple of people. So really, when you met me, it was I had just suddenly last October in the past year grown my team technically by what, 300%, 200%. And now I was looking to really start to build more of an enterprise model when you came into the picture.
Okay, and I love that because so you came, you listened to it was, I think it was like a 3 or 4 hour kind of pared down version of the first 100 days course, kind of turned into a short workshop format. And what I loved about your story is that I saw you again in January for a 2 day, like all in, all in intensive, full on workshop. And what I think was so really helpful for me to hear was just about the results that you had been getting from the one or two things that you had implemented. So I would love for you just kind of to share, like, so when you first kind of dove into the first 100 days with me back in Austin, tell me a little bit about what that was like. Had you ever thought about onboarding as an area to elevate? Like, where were you at coming into this before we get into like all the cool stuff you implemented and results? Where were you at on your onboarding process before we even talked about it?
Yeah, so the Elite Advisor Summit, which our firm puts on at Prudential every year for the top financial planners in the firm, that's where we first met. And leading up to it, I didn't really know who you were. I
Mhm.
had seen like the Efficient Advisor podcast had been listed on like Kitsis as one of the best podcasts and things like that. I'd seen some things on LinkedIn, but I had really no idea who you were. Uh, Other than, okay, I guess your message is about how to be efficient as an advisor. That was kind of all I knew. Um, but when I got the itinerary of who was going to be speaking at this event, I then looked into you a little further and I was like, really excited because I knew, hey, this is someone who has been a successful advisor. And I tend to use as a filter, uh, who am I listening to from an advice perspective? I want to listen to other advisors or former advisors who have already gotten to where I want to be. So then I got like really jazzed up and excited. Libby's going to be great. I had super high expectations and you did not disappoint. So in that initial 3 or 4 hour training, it was, and I've only had this happen a handful of times in my career with individuals like yourself. Literally, I can count on one hand. It was almost like I was discovering fire for the first time. And what that initial thing that just grasped me was your analogy around restaurants. Now, I'm a big foodie. I'm the cook in my family. I used to
Love
work in
that.
restaurants back in college. Um, so when people are looking for like a recommendation or vouching for a restaurant, friends and family like come to me like, "Hey, is this a place to go?" So like I'm really passionate about that and how you describe the first 100 days onboarding as kind of like a really great restaurant. And that's when you tell all your friends and family. I mean, it immediately hit me right then and there because that's what I do in my personal life, right? I go to an amazing restaurant for the first time and I'm telling everyone, you got to go try it. I might go a couple more times. But after a while, I can only think of one restaurant I still like I've been to many times that I still tell people about all the time. Outside of that, you just kind of get used to it, you get accustomed to it, and so you're probably less likely to refer it. And so, just how you explained the restaurant analogy with the first 100-day onboarding process, immediately I realized this was an opportunity that we were missing out on from a referral standpoint. What I also realized, though, was from a strengthening of that relationship with new clients, as well as, and we'll get to it in a little bit, existing clients by doing the 100-day onboarding. It made complete sense to me right off the bat, and I was captivated that whole time. So fast forward that 3 to 4 hour session we had. After it, myself and a few others went up to the managing director of our firm, a guy named Dustin Corrente, who had created the Lead Advisor Summit many years ago. And we said, "This has been great with Libby, with you, but the problem is it's just us here. We don't have our team members here. We need
Hmm.
to find a way to get Libby to come to our firm in Maryland, DC, Virginia, and really do a full training of the 100 days with our team members. And we're even willing to do like a cost share or whatever it takes to get Libby here." And so that's what led to the January 2-day session with you with all of our team members, which was just, I mean, it was extraordinary. I don't have a better word for it than that.
Oh, well, that's so kind. And it's one of those things that I think is really interesting too, because, when we were building the first 100 days, right, everything you hear from like marketing, right, is like people have to understand the problem. And it's one of those things that for me, I'm like, but most advisors, like, there isn't really a problem, so to speak. It's not like most advisors are experiencing clients walking out the door within the first 100 days because they're chapped about something or they had NIGOs or a bad experience. So it's not like a process that's for most advisors like inherently broken. And it's really one. So like coming into this, where were you at like feeling about your onboarding process?
I hadn't really given much thought to it. So in the
Yeah.
past number of years, my primary focus had been on how to, in a virtual world, convey ideas and concepts to prospects and clients. Think a lot of the whiteboarding strategy sessions we hear about. My
Hmm.
focus had been on, as I grow my wealth management practice, on trimesterally reviews with value add topics every trimester. Really, that had been where my focus had been. The whole 100-day onboarding hadn't even been a concept. I mean, I think it was as simple as, okay, the client gives buy-in, and here's the process if we're doing financial plans, here's the process if we're doing wealth management, but it wasn't particularly special. And also, in hindsight now, I think, especially with the consolidation of investment accounts, it would just take a lot longer than it needed to take.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, really no thought had been given to that onboarding process. I have a feeling that that's probably the norm in our industry.
Yeah, because it's not like like I said, it's not like inherently broken. And what you said is exactly what most advisors think. Like, I actually haven't really thought much about it. So, what triggered for you? So, the restaurant analogy, yes, but what else in that talk was kind of an aha for you that it's like, hey, I'm already doing the first 100 days. What if I wrappered it with a little bit of intention? Like, what kind of grabbed you? And then I'm curious, like, what did you start implementing that made you say, like, okay, we need to come back and do like the whole course?
Yeah, so I hate systems. I'm not a system person at all. But what I've come to learn from the trimesterally reviews I now do, from the strategy whiteboarding sessions I now do, is systems lead to success and systems lead to scaling. And so for me, it was just one of those things where I immediately recognized, wait, that client, I think you talked a little bit about it with buyer's remorse, like someone buys a car and then they have that moment after they buy the car where they're remorseful. They're like, did I really make the right decision? When we're talking about clients, right? They're transferring tons of money over or they're spending money on a financial plan or whatever it may be. There's buyer's remorse, whether we as advisors want to admit it or not. There's always going to be some second guessing. And so I think it was just that in conjunction with the systems and what is needed is I want to grow and scale and become more of an enterprise that it clicked and it was like, this is a no-brainer. This is something that we have to incorporate in our business.
Okay, I love that. And like, yeah, what you're referring to is kind of this natural chemical reaction that happens for clients that it's not anyone's fault. It's just the way that our brain is designed. We get flooded with cortisol as soon as we make a decision, even though they're like, Aaron, you're amazing. We love your recommendations. We're super excited to work with you and your team. They're immediately filled with that. Like as soon as they get off Zoom or they leave the office, they're filled with that. Like, oh, did I interview enough people? Did I make, is that the right decision? Am I like, they just second guess themselves. Doesn't mean it's going to get in the way of them moving forward, but what if we had a process that was designed to match that psychological state that they're in and help move them through the process emotionally alongside getting the paperwork done and actually getting them, set up to be fully functional clients of ours.
Yeah, and just one thing to throw in, I guess I was kind of debating whether to share it or not, but so in that time frame, I had also back a month prior in September gotten buy-in from someone who had just literally met me. So I do a lot of work with the World Bank. That's like a niche of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And someone who is like retiring from the World Bank in 2 weeks reached out to me for some advice on their life insurance as they were separating from the World Bank. And I met with this individual, and it became really clear that they were making a bunch of long-term mistakes in their pension decision planning.
Mm-hmm.
And their spouse, who was retiring the same day in 2 weeks, was also making mistakes. So, literally, from in a 2 week period, I met with them 4 times, and they agreed to essentially consolidate a lot of money. I won't go over specifics, but a lot of money over for me to manage. And so we're now a month and a half into that process, and nothing has been moved over yet because we have to wait on retirement and then pension calculations. And so as you were talking as well, I'm thinking to myself, we're not staying in contact in a structured way the way we need to. And it hit me, what if they have that buyer's remorse and they walk away? And thankfully they didn't, and everything was consolidated. And we just had our first trimesterly review not long ago, and they're happy and everything is great. But I guess that also kind of, the more I think about it, really um, inspired me because I knew we could be and we should be doing better. And I actually shared that with them. Hey, I want you guys to know, in part because of you, I have revamped my whole onboarding process. I had that conversation with them end of last year, beginning of this year. And I said, I want to walk you through what onboarding is going to look like in the future. And they really appreciated knowing that they kind of had an impact there, even though they
Yeah.
didn't mean to. So that's the other thing.
Well, I love your transparency with them too, because that's kind of part of when we talk about re-onboarding, right? Like letting clients know when you've made something more fabulous or more awesome or updated it, that not only do they feel good being part of it in this case, but knowing that if they're going to refer somebody to you, that they're going to get this new, amazing, elevated experience. And I think it takes a special advisor to be able to share that type of stuff because you want your clients to know you're always updating, you're always upgrading, that you're intentionally investing in your business and the processes that come along with it. So now that you've done the full course, right? Your team came, which I do think is really, really important, right? Like there's so many times where we as advisors go to conferences or regional meetings or corporate events and we come back with no less than 10,000 ideas, right? And we come back and we start vomiting them onto our team. We're like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, it's going to be crazy. And our team hears it as, oh, that's more work for us versus like they lose that vision casting that happens when they were right there. I remember years ago reading a book by Rachel Hollis. and she talked about taking her executive team to a Tony Robbins conference. And they came back from the conference like all jacked up on all things Tony Robbins, right? And they came back and they're like, we're doing a company-wide juice cleanse. And the team was like, wait, what? Why are we doing this? And like, because it's gonna be really great and we're gonna challenge ourselves. And they were like, we were not part of your journey. We really don't see how, like explosive diarrhea connects to team building and our goals as a company. And there is something like that's a more, exaggerated example, but there's definitely something to be said between like not being part of the journey and understanding how this is going to make our experience better for our clients, how it's going to make us more streamlined as a practice, how it's going to make getting new clients easier that when our team's not involved. So once you brought the team, and I always encourage this for people who are considering the first 100 days course, is doing it as a group. Like it feels, and I want to ask you about this, it feels cost ineffective to have all of your best people, all of your high dollar people sitting in a room working on a process together. What was your experience like then having everybody there and them getting the full kind of circle vision of what it's supposed to look like and feel like and why?
Yeah, I actually think I think it's cost ineffective not to go with your whole team. And what I
Hmm.
mean by that is if I'm going by myself and right, my time is extraordinarily valuable for the team. But then I have to come back and I have to kind of build the buy-in with my team members, the amount of time and energy, and maybe I'm able to, maybe I'm not, maybe they're just implementing because that's what, the boss said to do, so to speak. You are inherently going to be a much better messenger of it, Libby, since this is what you do day in, day out. And so I just think it is actually more efficient when the whole team is involved, because everyone gets the buy-in at the same time. And I think that ends up leading to um, executing off of it more efficiently. And I'll give you an example. Um, so I love my client relationship specialist. She's been with me for over 4 years now. She's great. I always say I could not survive without her, especially from a paperwork standpoint. And I know from her perspective, there was some hesitation early on when after our training with you, we immediately, a few days later, had already booked to do a team follow up, going over who is in charge of what tasks and
Hmm.
different things to do. And we've had another 3 team follow ups since then, since the January one. Um, and when we talked about the onboarding meeting, right? Everything is over. Now we're going to show you how to read your statements, how to log in online, how to click that pesky button to make sure everything is e-delivered as much as possible. I could sense there was hesitation as we were walking through this with Bianca. She was hesitant about it. This is more work.
Hmm.
Well, the first onboarding meeting we had, a new financial planning client who had just rolled over about $1.5 million to manage. Um, I was on that meeting too because right, it's the first one. I want to see
Hmm.
how it goes, where we can make things happen, make it more efficient. But I really let Bianca kind of run the show. I wanted to see if she could do it on her own, which she did on her own completely. So I haven't been on another one since because she was a rock star and crushed it. But the fact that we were preemptively answering these questions for the clients, it was so exciting. Just even walking them through how to register, getting them registered right then and there online, showing them how to log in. As soon as the meeting was over, I ran over to Bianca at the front of the office and I was like, that was unbelievable. I actually think that this is going to be a saver of time moving
Hmm.
forward. And she looked at me and she said, I was skeptical, and she tends to be a little more skeptical about things. I'm the optimist
Which is
here.
good. You need someone like that on the team, right? Keep you in check.
100%, 100%. But she's like more skeptical, and she said, "Aaron, I hate to admit it, but I think you're right. I think that this is going to save us a lot of time because I get emails and phone calls every day from clients asking these things that we just answered for them."
Hmm.
And so I think the having the whole team there is more efficient from a time perspective and a buy-in perspective. And once we kind of got to, for example, that onboarding, and we were able to collectively witness how much better of an experience it was for the client, and also selfishly, hey, we're going to actually save a lot of time. Um, it was just a total game changer. And then you had mentioned, Libby, a moment ago, re-onboarding people. So
Hmm.
as I was doing my trimesterly reviews back in February, I do all my trimesterlies for first trimester in February and the beginning of March. When I would have a client ask me as a reminder, how do I get my tax document, or how do I log online, or how do I do e-delivery, things that we hadn't coached clients through really in the past, I would then bring up, well, we recently implemented a new onboarding process. One of those things is the onboarding meeting. Here's what we do in it. Would you like us to schedule time with you and Bianca to go through it? Every single one of those clients said, that sounds amazing. We would love to do it. Let's get that scheduled. So every recap email we sent out where that conversation came up was, as an action item, Bianca scheduling a onboarding meeting to go through it. And again, I think it was about improving and strengthening the ongoing relationship, but I
Hmm.
also think it's a time saver for our firm as a whole.
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's what I think is so fascinating about specifically, I mean, really any process that we build in the business, but specifically the first 100 days is because we're doing it really through two lenses, right? The whole back end of it is designed to get business processed with fewer mistakes, to get business processed more quickly, to get the assets here, to get the insurance underwritten, to get all of it done so we get paid faster, we get clients onboarded faster. And that's one lens, right? The other lens is how do we do all of that and make this such a great experience for our clients that they can't help themselves like they would a new restaurant and say like, "Oh my gosh, that was completely different. Aaron didn't just send me home with this big giant to-do list, this big checklist of a bunch of stuff that I need to take care of in my side time, my free time, which doesn't exist for anybody anymore. Instead, they carved out time. They made sure it's done. I kind of like think of it versus like giving someone a homework list and saying, "Hey, get online, click e-delivery, find your tax statements, make sure the beneficiaries are right, make sure we've got this, that you know how to get in, that you can log in, you can see all your stuff, and create nicknames." It's a giant list of homework that they're never going to do, and we're asking them to do it themselves. Versus in this environment, we're going to do it together, like a DIT. Like we're doing this together. We're going to show you how. We're not going to let you fend for yourself and try to figure it out in your, free time when you should be spending that time with your family or with a really good book. Like we're going to do it for you, with you. I think really changes the perception that clients have in that first 100 days, where they're going to start saying, this actually feels different than it did to work with anyone before.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think that also goes directly to the other two major things we implemented. So I think of the onboarding meeting as more further strengthening the relationship, right? Because
Hmm.
now the business is already done, everything's moved over. The other two major things we implemented was we essentially created standard operating procedures in terms of information that we need to gather for any type of account or insurance policy. So we now have a blank Word document for each type of thing that we would possibly do with a client. And so now it's the advisor's responsibility once the buy-in occurs to get that information. In the past, we said, okay, our staff will reach out to you to get the information needed. And, who it takes forever to get that information.
Yeah.
We get it right on the spot, speeds up the entire process. And again, by getting it right then and there, that means also within 12 to 24 hours when they get the paperwork, they're a lot quicker in terms of signing. And I'll come back to the paperwork party in a moment. The other big thing though is the pizza tracker. So we send
Hmm.
out every Tuesday at 8 a.m. So
Great.
Bianca sets it up Monday to pre-send every Tuesday at 8 a.m. The pizza tracker. And what I found was fascinating was that first client I mentioned before to go through the process with about 1.5 million being moved over. Um, they really appreciated those weekly updates,
Hmm.
and it kept them engaged in getting done things they need to get done. We also started doing for existing clients, anytime we're doing new business being moved
Hmm.
over, uh, a long time client of mine who is historically just, her and her husband are terrible with paperwork and getting things done. Um, and we had been waiting for like 2 months, maybe 3 months for other assets to move over. the moment we implemented the pizza tracker, I kid you not, within 2 weeks, everything was done that was needed. So here we are
Amazing.
waiting 3 months, 2 weeks of pizza tracker, it's done. So I just think, again, it's more white glove, it's high level, it keeps things going, both in terms of the SOP and the pizza tracker. So those were really great. We tried to implement the paperwork party. In fact, I was thinking about this last week because I ended up on the phone for like 40 minutes with a client reviewing three different accounts to sign. Just they
Hmm.
called like, hey, it's been 2 weeks, you still haven't signed this stuff. I was thinking, why are we not doing the paperwork party? And I think it's just because there's so much in the first 100 days.
Hmm.
It's impossible to do it all at once. So I feel like the fact that
Yes.
we're doing SOP,
You've
pizza
implemented a
tracker, we're doing
few things.
onboarding, we're doing a
That's right.
lot. So I think that there's room to bring back in because we initially in January and February did the paperwork party and then it just kind of fell by the wayside because there's so many other things we were doing. But
Yeah.
I think that the other big thing the 100-day onboarding process has led to was a discovery from a practice standpoint, a business standpoint, that if we really want to perfect this thing, and right, we're not even talking about the surprise and delight, the shock and awe, all those other things in the 100 days. If we really want to own this, it helped really bring to the forefront. There had been ongoing discussions between me and my partner about hiring someone in charge of like operations and marketing.
Hmm.
And by attending the your session and then trying to go through this process, we realized it's an absolute necessity to hire an operations person and a marketing person. So we actually hired a staffing firm a couple weeks ago, and we're in the process of trying to find an operations person who one of their core jobs is going to be completely owning the 100-day onboarding process. So again, we're doing the best we can. I think we've done really well, but there's so much more we can do. And the only way we're going to get there is by staffing up further.
Yes, well, and I always tell people like process change is hard, right? And if you remember in the we have it in the course, we do it live. Like we're rating ourselves on a scale of 1 to 5. There's some parameters like where are you at? And most people like our inclination is to go from a 1 to a 5. Like we're like, well, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it perfectly. We're gonna implement all of it. We're gonna implement like we're gonna be like the kings of the first 100 days, or we're not doing it at all, right? And it's that process change is hard. It's a lot to adopt. It's a lot to implement if you do too much at once. So you're actually doing it in the best possible way, which is do one thing, become a master of it, add one more thing, become a master of it. I mean, the good news is a lot of it is pretty easy to implement. Like this is not a highly technologically advanced, process that you're implementing. There doesn't require a lot of tech stack or tools. It's pretty basic, but even with that being said, you want to do one thing, master it, really adopt it. Do another thing, master, really adopt it. So in the course, even the online course, I built it where there's two tracks. There's the fast track, like give me the 3 or 4 things that are going to make the biggest difference that I can do right away. And then there's the full track, right? Which is I want all the client psychology and I want the little stuff and I want the little tweaks and language adjustments and all of the things to really build that out, knowing that you're going to do a little bit and the goal is to come back every so often. And the process that got you here won't be the process that gets you there. So you're going to have to come back and level it up, fine tune it, tweak it, and keep polishing it. So you are doing amazingly well. You're right on track.
I appreciate that. And as we're talking, I'm even like reassessing, like, well, how did we end up choosing or how did we end up landing on SOP and the pizza tracker and the onboarding were the three? And how did the paperwork party kind of fall by the wayside a little bit? Well, I think as I'm reflecting right now, as we're talking, it kind of makes sense, right? Because the paperwork party is probably the part that I most likely need to do, and I'm the busiest, right?
Yes, yes.
And so again, that's probably how it fell by the wayside, which just reinforces if you really want to own this, it has to be a team approach. And again, for us at least, as we're trying to grow and become more enterprise, that's where this really was the final straw that said we have to go get that operations person. So I appreciate all that the course has done because it's not just helping on the first 100 days, but I think it also kind of gave us the kick in the butt we needed to hire the next strategic person to really help us continue to grow and get where we want to be.
Yeah, and thinking too about other processes that you have, when you kind of know here's what makes a good process and you have that framework to work within, we have the three layers, we talk about the couple of lenses, you start thinking differently. Like you'll start to notice your antennas go up on other processes and you'll go, oh, wait, how we could actually reduce that friction and make that more experiential for our clients. And it just kind of has this little trickle effect. So based on your experiences, what would you say to that advisor that's kind of on the fence of like, is this the first process that I go and fix? Like, is there really an ROI, right, attached to the first 100 days to onboarding? If my onboarding isn't broken per se, what would you kind of say to that advisor who isn't sure, like, if this is a good use of my time right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot out there,
Hmm.
obviously. I think that this is a very easy and approachable route to go as like a starting point. And what I mean by that is, first of all, your course isn't that expensive. I think I told you, I think you underprice it, quite frankly. Um, but having the course catalog, what I really appreciate about your course catalog is the videos, and you literally have all of these templates. I mean, when we had our team meetings after the training and building out the SOPs and the pizza tracker, literally all we did was take the stuff that you had and simply just steer path wealthed it for us. That's our
Right.
DBA. We just kind of customized it to fit our look and feel. So I think from a low hanging fruit and a barrier to entry standpoint, it's a super low barrier to entry from a cost standpoint. It's super easy to implement from the training and the PDFs and the Excel sheets and I mean all the things you provide. So to me, I think that this is a really, really great starting place to start.
I love that. Well, thank you for that. And you heard it here first. If the price goes up, it's all Aaron's fault. And that
Charge what you're worth. You're
I
charging right now.
oh, so you're saying I should take my own advice. Okay, okay, I hear you. I
Yes,
hear you
yeah,
on that, right?
exactly.
We're all our own worst enemies.
Sorry, everyone who's listening today who has not enrolled in your course.
How about we like well, the price will go up soon. If you listen to this, grab it now. No.
Right,
Um
exactly.
I love that. Well, thank you. And any tips that you have for advisors who are like, okay, I'm in, I want to do the program. I'm going to, like, you're right. This is low hanging fruit. This would be so easy to elevate if it increases the experience for our clients, if it makes us more organized, if business gets processed faster, we get paid sooner, and we get more referrals quicker. Okay, fine. Why wouldn't we do that? What would you say would be kind of a best practice as far as how do I, as the lead advisor, pitch this to my team, get them involved, and get them excited about it?
Um, that's a great question. I think it's a couple things. One, our Northern Star should always be wanting to improve our client's experience, right? Because
Mhm.
when we improve our client experience, it leads to happier clients, better relationships, more referrals, more growth. So that always needs to be our Northern Star is our clients. And so I think from a very just easy standpoint, will this dramatically improve that initial onboarding phase with our clients and continue building the trust and relationship further, improve that experience further? And the answer is yes, right? We already know the answer is yes. So right then and there, I think that should be buy-in. If you're looking for more, I would say the internal, almost selfish side of things, though, right? Um, I think it goes back to I think of it as a time saver. It's a lot of work for sure to build out. And again, that's why we're looking to staff up even further. But I think long term, it is a time saver because it means that our clients know what they need to do during the process, what we need from them during the process. It speeds that up. Once we're done and we're showing them how to access things online or how to handle e-delivery or whatever else it may be, saves us time long term. So I think from a selfish standpoint, there's also the time saving component as well.
Well, I mean, and let's be honest, is that really selfish? Because it frees you up to have more time to do cool stuff to make your clients feel loved on even further. So I don't think it's selfish at all, Aaron. I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point. Wait, I mean maybe that's the wrong word, but that is a fair point. I mean ultimately, everything I've done from a systematization of my practice and the business over the past number of years, the ultimate goal has been, right, so I have more capacity. The more capacity I
Mhm.
have, the more people I can help. The more people I can help, the better it is for the lives I touch, both from a client standpoint, a referral standpoint, for my friends, my family, my community. So, yeah, I mean, it all goes back to that Northern Star of we're trying to, as I always say to any prospect I meet, at the end of that initial meeting, I always say, did you get value out of today's meeting? Did you walk away having found value, right? And I think it goes back to this too. Every time we can provide some level of value and improve the experience for our clients, our prospects, it leads to more success for us and our clients, and it leads then to more good things for our family, friends, and community.
I love that. Well, I am so grateful that you attended back in October and spearheaded the whole initiative to get back on in January. And I'm so excited because it really, if we think, even if stuff you started implementing in August, August, September, that's really not that long ago. And for you to have already felt the immediate effects, to see those immediate results and to have that clarity over how it can improve both the business efficiency side of it, but also the client experience. I mean, that's not that long of a time frame to start seeing the benefit.
Yeah, I mean, we're really, I'll put it this way, we're really excited on where things are going. I'm not sure when you're releasing this, but if anyone is out there listening who's an operations person, give us a call if you're looking to make a move. We're really excited with where this goes because we know it only scratches the surface, right? We have the trimestrally reviews and value add topics down pat. We've been doing that for 3 or 4 years now. We have the whiteboarding strategy sessions, how we convey value and concepts and ideas in a
Mhm.
virtual world down pat. We've been doing that for 4 or 5 years now. Um, we know we're going to get where we need to be on this and just truly be masters of that first 100 on day boarding experience. And it's just going to, again, I think, strengthen the existing relationships. New clients that come on, we're going to get things processed a whole lot quicker. And I think we'll get a lot of referrals. And by the way, you're talking about someone who gets a lot of referrals already. I mean, just
Mhm.
last night, I always check my emails. Today is a Monday. I always check my emails Sunday evening after the kids go to sleep, just so I'm ready for Monday morning. And I had an email in my inbox of a referral from an existing client. The brother wants to discuss financial planning. I get from my trimestrally reviews and value add topics, I probably get 4 or 5 referrals a month. I mean, I get a
Mhm.
lot of them.
Yeah.
Um, this, I'm so excited because I already know this is going to be another referral source.
Yeah. And really, what I hear you saying is the root of showing up, having a process where you're strategically adding value and being intentional about how you approach something in advance. So, being proactive, having a plan, having a strategy, having a process built around it. So, the whiteboarding, the trimester reviews, value adds, like those are all rooted in process. And the more processes you have, and the more you refine them and perfect them, and then move on to the next one and focus, refine, and perfect the experience that your clients have. You show up professional. You are surprising and delighting them. You're shocking and awing them. It's an experience like they haven't had before because most advisors are winging it. They're flying by the seat of their pants. They're prepping, 5, 10 minutes before a client walks in the door, or maybe the day before, and they just don't have that process down. And it, to me, like, this is the thing that saved my, like, this is the only way that I could work 3 days a week and have a successful business, was by being a naturally not a process and systems girl and adopting processes and systems. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being a first 100 days advocate. And I'm so excited to chat with you in a year and hear all of the results that you've seen over an even longer time frame.
Yeah, Libby, thank you again so much for your time. It's been a pleasure being on today. And again, just keep doing what you're doing because your message is really important. The work is really important, and more advisors need to hear it and follow it.
Thanks so much, Aaron.
Thank you.